Charlotte Ryan, anyway, did my job, and I really missed it. She took to the streets of Wellington, Cuba Street, and asked this question.
If you're working full-time and you suddenly lost your full-time job, could you survive? Do you have savings?
Yeah, I could survive, I think.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Hopefully.
I have enough for a flight back home, and then I would have to call mum and dad.
Sort of semi-prepared. It's not yes or no. It's halfway there. I need some more, but I've got some.
I've got a good family that would help me.
So you'd call mum and dad?
Yeah, and my sisters. That'd help me out, I think.
Say if the government Sunday decided that they wouldn't give you any more money, would you be able to survive?
No.
There is a responsibility upon yourself to look after yourself in the future. Mind you, when I was a young man, I only thought of going to the pub and having a good time.
Are you prepared for a natural disaster?
Of course I am.
What do you have?
What I have, I've got an Armageddon truck.
Actually?
Yeah, ready for the apocalypse. Fully camoed out, it's beautiful, man.
There you go, Charlotte, talking to some interesting people there in Cuba Street there. So the question is this: how do you deal with bad things happen to you? A report out this week says the focus of government policy should be helping us survive. Now, this is called the State of the State 2017. How should the government be involved in picking up the pieces when sort of people's lives fall apart?
Yeah, of course it should be, because you always have to look after those who can't look after themselves. That's the fundamental thesis of a welfare state.
All right, so one of the things the report suggested was a guaranteed minimum household income for people with unstable wages. What do you think?
You mean all the time, or you mean in the state after a state of emergency?
After a state of emergency.
Well, after a state of emergency, I think you do see government step up and do that. We've seen that after the Christchurch quake with guaranteed income, with paying the bills of small businesses so they could keep employing people even when they weren't productive.
What do you make of this resilience, a guaranteed minimum household income, as an example?
If we had that now, we'd have a better society, I know that. But of course the government has to step in and make sure that people can survive after some catastrophe. But it's up to us, and actually I think through the education system, to actually get out and teach kids that there won't be Big Macs and Wi-Fi at every corner. And if something goes wrong, they've got to be able to look after themselves.
Here's an example, practical example of what we're talking about, Tracy. So, for example, my hot water cylinder breaks down a month ago, all right? Instantly, there's $2.5K gone, just like that. Okay, so with the average saving across the country is around about $3,000 to $4,000.
Yeah.
It's not a lot. So savings wiped out from one little thing like that.
I know.
Resilience, how do you define it
yeah,
for
well,
you?
well, my husband and I lived like that. I mean, to some level, that's part of actually just life. To some level, that's part of the struggle that we start as we go along. And there's a lot of lessons in every sort of piece that happens in your life like that. But if, for example, your hot water cylinder had broken down, you don't have $2,500, you've got 4 kids in the house, you should be able to go along to a Work and Income New Zealand office and actually say, these are my circumstances and I need to have
So you're
that.
saying we've already got this? We've already got resilience. We've got a safety net.
No, I don't. I think I actually, this was a really interesting question, your resilience question, because we've got a crisis of anxiety in our schools because we don't have resilient children. But you're talking about the resilience of adults when it comes to finance. Now there's a lot of conversation in that resilience.
All right, then.
stuff.
One of the things in the report, the State of the State 2017, James said, a guaranteed child benefit for those with unstable incomes. Will you support that?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, that's been Green Party policy for a number of years now. So
Chester,
if you want to do one thing to get rid of child poverty, that would be it. That's where you would start.
Round the panel?
We had it. We had it. But Wallace, we had it.
Absolutely.
We had the universal family benefit, and it was taken away.
My mum
had
it. My mum had it.
Yeah. So and that went to the mums because they were predominantly there. It said society values you as a person who's actually looking after the next generation. And if you extrapolate out the $15 a week, it's now about $200 a week.
All right, we'll come back to you, Damien. We'll come back to you. Got to go to. That's interesting. Who remembers the family benefit? That's a very good question. Charlotte.
I don't remember the family benefit. It sounds good, though. But I'm with Millie. She's a law student in Wellington at the moment. Millie, a lot of people are sort of saying the younger generation aren't prepared. If something bad happened, if a disaster happened, you wouldn't be prepared. Have you got a savings account?
Well, Charlotte, I've got a little bit saved, but thank God for StudyLink, getting the money every week there. But and then
I guess I've only just got myself to look after, so if something happened to like someone else or someone depended on me, then I would really be screwed. But yeah, just got enough to probably cover the year of flatting and then help for next year. Eek.
Awesome. What about, do you think that resilience or this sort of thing should be taught in high schools or taught in school generally?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that there's so many parts of the curriculum that you know, should be added to the school curriculum rather that we, you know, use in later life that yeah, are a big part and should be added. Definitely, yeah.
Thank you, Millie. Back to you, Wallace.
Charlotte, thank you very much. Damien, you were going to say something? Response?
Yeah, look, there are a report after report saying if we get the first 3 years right in a child's life, it sets them up for the rest of their life. We've got to guarantee that income, give them security so they can go forward with all the right foundations. Right. And we've got to make sure that any money goes to people. It's that people know how to spend it wisely. The government cut money to budget advice. That is absolutely outrageous because there are some people who need to work through some really complex budget issues.
Chester, do you think that we're breeding a soft generation, you know, who are smashing themselves up on avocados?
No, not really. But I think we do need people to know how to do the basics. And people of our generation, we know how to hammer a nail in. We know how to be a little bit resilient if it all turns to crap and the power goes off. I'm not sure everybody does. But I think if everyone looked after themselves, their neighbours and their kids, that'd be fine.
Do you know how to hammer a nail, James? All right, next time you're on the show, we'll bring a hammer and a nail.
Yes.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
Me too. I want to pick up on the resilience question that young woman said about teachers, schools having to teach resilience. Schools try to teach resilience every day. If you don't win a running race, you don't win. Don't get your parents to come to the school as a helicopter parent and ask for everybody to get a prize.
Does this happen?
This happens.
Does this happen?
Right? Children learn resilience through real life experience constantly inside of our schools.
That's enough. For what it's worth, I can't hammer in a nail. Backbenchers, next up very soon. Donald Trump.